the state of Florida. They do not run the state of Florida. I know all these Republicans are lining up against me to take the side of Disney, but I'll tell you this, we stand for the protection of our children. We will fight those who seek to rob them of their innocence, and on that point, there will be no compromise.
The rest of the nation may be focused on averting a historic national default, but not Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Meatball Ron hit the campaign trail this week with the latest version of his forever war against wokeness. And DeSantis is taking some unexpected heat from other Republicans for his repeated fumbles during Florida's ongoing war with Disney. First up, notable 2022 Arizona election loser Carrie Lake, who actually has a pretty good slogan cooking.
When you pick a fight with Disney, you need to play to win, and so far Governor DeSantis has been outworked and outmaneuvered by Disney. As far as I know, Reedy Creek still exists. They're still hosting trans events at their park. This indoctrination is continuing, and they're actually rubbing it in the faces of American families. You know, if you can't beat Donald Duck, how are you going to beat Donald Trump? I think that's the question we have to ask when it comes to Governor DeSantis. And I think he should stay in Florida and continue fighting for the people there and try to finish that fight.
Now, you can tell Lake waited that entire interview just to throw that Donald Duck line out there. And fair play to her. She's actually right. Ron DeSantis' fight against Disney has mainly succeeded in driving business away from Florida. Well, Disney is doing just fine. And listen, in all honesty, it's actually pretty tough to beat Donald Duck in a fight. After years of underground anabolic steroid use, Donald Duck now looks like this. We have fun here, guys. What can I say? And anyway, even old DeSantis allies are getting in on the stabbing. Here's old Sea Captain Mike Huckabee criticizing DeSantis for his insatiable ambition for political titles.
I think one of the challenges that he's going to have is answering a very obvious question. If you wanted to be president, how come you ran for governor just last year and you asked for a 4-year job? And then you barely had gotten into it before you were already looking for another 4-year job. So that's a challenge. And I think that sometimes it doesn't matter who's running for an office, you need to answer the question, do you not like the one you have? And why did you ask folks to give it to you if you didn't plan to keep it?
Ron DeSantis is quickly learning that on the presidential campaign trail, one trouble never comes alone. And one big trouble comes in the form of Donald Trump, who unleashed a torrent of criticism over the many ways he thinks DeSantis has ruined Florida. But Ron was quick to let the media know that he won't be bullied by Mr. the Donald Trump, sir. Watch this.
So look, I'm going to respond to attacks. I mean, if you say Cuomo did a better job with COVID than Florida did, first of all, that's not what he used to say. This is like new. Like 6 months ago, he would have never said that, right? He used to say how great Florida was. Hell, his whole family moved to Florida under my governorship. Are you kidding me?
And you know, Ron's bold declaration that he won't be intimidated reminds me of another very similar declaration from another very similar scumbag.
I don't get angry often. But you mess with my wife, you mess with my kids, that'll do it every time. Donald, you're a sniveling coward, and leave Heidi the hell alone.
So will you support him as the nominee?
I'm going to beat him for the nomination.
Oh my God, it never gets old. But unlike Brother Ted, DeSantis has decided that the only way to beat Trump is to sound a whole lot like Trump. Take this campaign stop, where DeSantis celebrated the law banning Florida from working with public health organizations.
We held the line when freedom itself hung in the balance. I was not going to let the state of Florida descend into some type of Faucian dystopia where people's freedoms were curtailed and their livelihoods were destroyed. No, we stood up for people's rights. We protected people's jobs and small businesses and guaranteed, like your governor did, that kids had a right to be in school and get an education in person 5 days a week. In short, Florida, we chose freedom over Fauciism, and we are better off for having done that.
Well, I guess it depends on how you define freedom, Ron, because the roughly 86,000 Floridians who died because of your COVID policies sure don't feel very free right now. But don't worry, DeSantis is also banning Florida from ever preparing for a resurgence of COVID again. So that's a lot of Ron DeSantis. And it's fair to ask, is any of his campaigning actually working? In short, no, not really. DeSantis still sits at just 22% in the Real Clear Politics polling average. That's down from 49% earlier in the year, and the numbers aren't getting better. After months of buildup, the DeSantis presidential campaign is turning out to be something of a flop. The media once tried to make DeSantis into a legendary Trump killer. In the light of day, he's looking more and more like a politician hopelessly out of his depth. With that said, it's not all bad. Check out this video of Dr. Janine Downey absolutely pummeling Fox News lad Pete Hegseth over Republican book bans. And as always, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment below so you can let me know what I should cover next.